This is AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. We're in London, 2 days away from fight night. Pleasure to be joined by Hall of Famer Timothy Bradley. How you finding London?
Baby, you already know, man. This is like my second home, man. This was exactly not London, but here in England. Won my world championship here against Junior Witter, man. So I'm happy to be here.
Huge fight Saturday night.
Yeah.
Vasily Lomachenko puts his titles on the line against Luke Campbell. Vasil, huge favourite, as he would be in any fight. How much of a talent do you think Vasil is, and where do you think he'll go down in history in terms of the greats?
Well, I mean, he's broken so many records already, and he has like 14 fights or so. Loma is a special talent. The way Loma fights, he fights off the front foot. A lot of guys like, let's say Floyd Mayweather Jr. fought off the back foot, very defensive. But Loma's aggressive with his defense and also attacks you at the same time. That's a special talent to be able to be right directly in front of a guy, not get hit, and hit the guy at will anytime you want to and anytime you please. So Loma is a very rare breed, and he's a fantastic fighter. And just this week, for the first time, I heard Lomachenko say that he's the best fighter on the planet. The first time you ever hearing this from him. I've never heard him say he's the best fighter on the planet. He would always say Terrence Crawford was the best fighter on the planet. So the fact that Loma's saying that he's the best fighter on the planet tells me that he's turned over a new leaf. He truly believes it, that he's the best fighter on the planet, and that he's going to show up and show out Saturday night against Campbell.
What's the feeling like in the US towards this fight? Obviously, as I said, Vasily is a huge favourite. How do people rate Luke in the US?
Well, I mean, Luke is a good fighter. He's probably second best in his weight class. I would have to say he's probably second best. But Loma's just in the class, by himself, honestly. He's an elite fighter. Luke is, great. Then there's elite. You know what I mean? Then there's good, fair, bad. But Luke is he's a great fighter. He's an Olympic gold medalist. But, I think mentally, I think he's kind of suppressed his mental state for this fight, honestly. I heard through the grapevine that he sparred 3 guys at once. I mean, what are you thinking about? I mean, really, what are you thinking? You're an Olympic gold medalist. How is that going to help you in any way? You think fighting Lomachenko's like sparring 3 guys? Honestly, like, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And that just tells me that mentally, Campbell doesn't believe he can win. He doesn't believe he can win the fight. You got to be sure of yourself. And I believe that Campbell doesn't believe that he's the best fighter on the planet. Any boxing fan, we're over here in England. These are true boxing fans. They understand the sweet science of boxing. So when I say this, 90% of boxing is mental. This controls all of this. You got to understand that. Everybody gets in shape. Every fighter gets in shape. But how well can you control this to operate all your physical attributes? How do you control that? Well, Loma, when he goes into training camp, Loma focuses on himself. Okay? That's what he does. He focuses on Loma, bettering himself. All the things he does is different than anybody on the planet. To be number 1, you got to be odd. And Loma is odd. All this preparation is different. We've never seen it. All the little boards where he's touching here, there, his dad, raising him from a little boy, got him in the boxing and said, you know what, your feet are terrible. You're gonna do dancing. You're gonna do dance. That's what I want. You're gonna do the Russian style dancing. Get your footwork right. Because he knows that foundation is the most important thing. Got his feet right. Holding his breath for like over 4.5 minutes. That's to get his lungs strong. And that's Loma is just one of those guys that you rarely ever see, man. You rarely ever see. Once in the blue moon. He's a special fighter, and she's gonna prove it Saturday night, man. He truly believes he's the best fighter on the planet. Campbell's in trouble.
Okay, just moving away from this fight, I do want to ask you about another top-ranked fighter in Sergey Kovalev out in Russia last weekend. Stoppage win against Anthony Yarde. What did you make of the fight?
Great fight. It was that card was amazing. But Yarde showed up. He showed that he's at that level. He's at the elite level. He came up short. He needs to just go back to the drawing board, add a few things or change a few things. Conditioning wise, he needs to definitely be coming to fight in a lot better. Be more conditioned for the next time out. Needs to get out of that shoulder, that Floyd Mayweather type of shoulder roll defense. I mean, it's okay sometimes, Yarde, but you really need to, get your own style, man. Have your own identity. You can take things from different fighters and put it, and attach it to your skill set, but be yourself, man. Don't try to beat Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather doesn't hold his hand down here, his left hand down here, the whole fight. Floyd Mayweather pick his hands up, then he puts it down, and he's back up. There's a lot of things that he does, in the ring. So correct that. Keep that left hand up. Add a little bit to his game. He should have went down to the body a lot more and sooner. I don't know why he didn't. If you know a weakness on a fighter, and this is all the young fighters out there, when you know a weakness on a fighter, you want to exploit it. And the quicker you get to it, the better it is. So I don't understand from the first round, that should have been your attack from the first round on. I don't understand the trainers or whoever's guiding him, why didn't he attack the body right from the get-go? Kovalev probably wouldn't have made it to 7 rounds if he would have went to the body early. But anyways, he's a good talent. Young, he can bounce back. I think he has an ability to win a world championship. Quick cat-like reflexes. Got good hand speed, good hand and eye coordination, and plus he has a trait that a lot of the top fighters have is that he's reactive. He can counterpunch. He's a really good counterpuncher. So he's not too far off from getting another shot. Even though he came up short, he should hold his head up high and just make some changes, man. And for Kovalev, great job. Cash out, but, get that big fight with Canelo Alvarez and hang him up, man. You've done enough in the sport already. Get that big purse, and that's it. That should be it for you, man. Retire from the sport. Don't let the sport retire you.
Give him any chance against Canelo?
There's always a chance. I mean, if he can control the outside, Canelo has really good defense. And Canelo moves his head really well. But if he can control Canelo outside and keep him outside, and don't allow Canelo to get to his body, which would be tough, then he can win the fight. Definitely can win the fight. But Canelo's gonna get inside. Canelo's quick. Canelo has experience against some tough opposition out there, some of the best out there, and I just think that Canelo's gonna be just a tad bit too much for him, and Canelo will exploit that weakness, the body, and he'll probably stop. He'll probably end up stopping Kovalev, maybe 7 rounds.
Now I want to take our minds back to April. I saw you out in New York for Crawford Khan. We're not sure what's going on with Terence at the moment. Obviously, we keep seeing this thing with him and Errol Spence in the media. We know Errol's got a fight lined up. I think Errol suggested a few times that Terence is ducking him. What are your thoughts on this whole thing between Crawford and Spence?
Well, I'm sick of talking about Spence. I'm sick of promoting Spence. As far as Crawford goes, I think he has a fight coming up. And I think he's fighting against Kovalev.
Has that been announced?
It hasn't been announced, but I think he's going to fight his mandatory Kovalev. Crawford's is another special talent out there. I have him right now as the number 1 pound fighter in the game. Lomachenko, if he wins this fight in a good fashion, like I think he will then become my number 1 pound fighter in the game, man. Holding down three belts. The only other fighter to have the 3 belts in this weight class was Pernell Whitaker. Back in, I believe it was in 1990, he held the belts, all 3 belts in this weight class. So, I mean, that's history, man. That's a long time, almost 29 years ago. So, Loma will be my number 1 pound fighter after this fight.
I get the sense that you are sick of talking about Errol Spence now and the potential fight with Terence Crawford. Nothing to say?
I really don't have anything to say, honestly. I really don't. Terence Crawford is a good friend of mine. He wants to fight the best guys out there, and I wish him luck in his career.
Just to round this interview off, I want to quickly address the heavyweight division. We know we've got Tyson Fury, Otto Wallen coming up. We're expecting that announcement for Wilder Ortiz 2 to be official.
And obviously we've had Ruiz Joshua land in Saudi Arabia. What are your thoughts on that fight going to Saudi?
Interesting. I think that's an interesting choice of a place to be fighting in Saudi Arabia. I never heard of that. I mean, there is a lot of money. There's a lot of money there, and I'm glad that Ruiz was able to get his fair share where he was comfortable with. But it doesn't matter where the fight is at. It can be at their mama's house. It's a fight, baby. You know, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, as long as the fighter's getting taken care of. But I think it's gonna be. I think it's a great match. I think that Joshua needs this rematch. He needs to redeem himself. I think that Joshua understands what he did wrong the first time around. Joshua's gonna have to face some of those demons. Especially when he gets hit on the chin. He's gonna have to answer that call. Because Ruiz is gonna test that. He's gonna test his heart. He's gonna test that chin again. And if Joshua mentally is not ready, like he was the first time, we probably will see the same thing. The same thing is going to happen. So mental toughness is a big part of this for him. And Ruiz is going to do what Ruiz does and what he always does. He's going to get in shape for this fight. Ruiz can probably harden his body a little bit more, come in a little bit better conditioning. He's confident coming in this fight, whereas Joshua is not confident. But he's going to have to be headstrong. And Joshua definitely is going to have to come in with a game plan. And Joshua needs to behave like a big man. And Joshua, we need the Joshua from the Klitschko fight. That's the Anthony Joshua that we need to see if he wants to get his belts back. A guy that can get hit, go down, get up, and then knock a man out. That's the Joshua that we need to see. That guy needs to come back out to win this fight.
Timothy, did you see that clip going around on social media where Joshua called Lennox Lewis a clown?
Yeah, I saw that.
What did you make of it?
I mean, it's the young guy. Klitschko is a vet, man. He's a legend. And for me, I just think that, Joshua is a little bit insecure. Klitschko might have said, Lennox probably said something about him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Lennox said something about him that Joshua didn't like, and then he reacts to it. But I just think that sometimes you just need to just take the higher road. It's okay to have a little criticism. There's nothing wrong with that. It's constructive, and. But I wouldn't behave like that. Honestly, I wouldn't have bounced back like that with Lennox. That guy, he's the man, bro. It's like if I was a basketball player and Michael Jordan says something about me and I go at Michael Jordan, you just don't do that, man. You know what I mean? Have some respect, but it is what it is. Everybody's different. So.
Last question, Timothy. We've seen Tyson Fury do this deal with ESPN. He's going to fight Otto Wallen, as I said, in September. How's he been received in America, and do you see him as the number one heavyweight on the planet?
They love him in America. I see him as the number one heavyweight, right along with Wilder. Wilder has definitely, we can argue it. We can argue it, definitely. Wilder could definitely well be number one. He's been fighting more often. He stayed busy. He didn't have any, 2-year hiatus or anything like that. He's been active. But I just think skill-wise, I think Fury is just, a better fighter than Wilder is. Wilder's the puncher. Fury's the boxer. They need each other. The first fight, I felt that, even though it was, Wilder, they got a draw. Wilder got a draw in the fight. Or both guys got a draw. I felt that Fury won the fight, without question. But it was on USA. It was in the United States, and Wilder was able to, get that draw. But I think the second time around it'll be a little different. I think the fact that Wilder fighting against Ortiz is going to prepare him for Fury. He's going to get a lot of resistance from Ortiz, and if he can knock out Ortiz earlier, I think it'll be good for his confidence going into the Fury fight next year. And Fury, I'm a little weary. I'm a little weary by him fighting his competition. There's really not a whole lot of resistance coming from the fighters that he's facing coming back. So it's a stay busy fight. I get it, but you can gain a false sense of security when you're fighting against lower opposition. Like, give you an example, Yarde, false sense of security fighting against lower opposition, even though they have fought each other once before, and I'm talking about Wilder and Fury. But if you get, let's say, crappy sparring, you're gonna fight crappy. You're not. How is that gonna elevate your game? And I understand the heavyweight division. It's pretty loaded and busy, but I would have loved to see Fury fight against someone of a caliber of Parker. And I know Parker's gonna get ready to fight, but just someone else, Pulev, or just someone else to get him ready for Wilder. That would suit him a lot better than just fighting, just a regular guy or a guy on the way up. So,
Timothy Bradley, thank you very much for your time on IFL TV. Look forward to a huge night on Saturday. I'm sure we'll catch a word after that.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Cheers, man. Thank you.